Hey guys, what is up? I am finally back to the good old Dark Gathering, okay? And this chapter is the title of the video. This is war. It is lit. This starts what we all have been anticipating since whether you first watched the anime or you first read the manga. This is what we have been anticipating for. Now, obviously, this is just part one of like 3 different parts that Yayoi, Keitaro, and Eiko has to go through. And I'm surprised that they're going through him first. But obviously, you know, the big finale will obviously be Spectra of Death. Because that's what started the whole thing. Not only that, it was kind of crazy because when I went to go read, we're now in chapter 52. I didn't know there was like a special chapter prior to, which was chapter 51.5, which is technically the one shot of the series. Now, when I went to go read chapter 52, I accidentally clicked this read chapter 51.5, and I'm like, oh, well, hold on, this looks different. Who is this? So I said, hold on, let me go back. And the art style of this series, obviously from the one shot that led to the monthly serialization of Dark Gathering, definitely Kondo Sensei from the one shot, he did, there are changes, especially with like Keitaro. There's no over details, especially when it comes to the hair and the eyes. Keitaro in the one shot version looked more mature. His eyes were smaller compared to the finalized version that we have of him. Yayoi doesn't look too different aside from like majorly her hair. Her hair looks more fluffier in this final version versus her one shot version. Same thing that applied to Keitaro, same thing that happened to Eiko. So I would say this version of them is a little bit more simplified. I guess that's what Kondo Sensei was trying to go for in terms of like revision. It's kind of similar to how the first chapter went. He's Keitaro's still the tutor or teacher for Yayoi. We actually see how her father looks like. And obviously she had a very loving family. I would say definitely, if you haven't, read chapter 51.5. So that's the buffer, or basically the one shot that led to the serialization of the series. I would say it does help to give a little bit more in-depth, especially in regards to Yayoi and why she's so adamant of like her mission of getting back her mother. Of course, Spectra of Death was never named in the one shot, but the whole premise still remained the same. Keitaro was still affected by a curse from many years ago. This time around in the one shot, Keitaro and Eiko, or did it go like that in the first chapter too, where he got reunited? Like in the one shot, he and Eiko were separated after middle school. They weren't friends all the way through. They reunited when they got into college. In the one shot, and if I remember correctly, in this version, the serialization version, they still remain friends all the way through. But I will say this, in the one shot, Keitaro acknowledged his feelings, his romantic feelings for Eiko. Eiko, her yandere-ness never went away. It was still there, creepiness. But Keitaro would, in the one shot, acknowledge his romantic feelings, something that we didn't get until we hit like the 30s of the series and pretty early on in the anime. FYI, if you guys don't know, now you know, and it is official news. Dark Gathering is getting a season 2. When it launches, I don't know, but I do want to make a note, so jot it down, record this little part, keep it as a snippet and all that stuff. When they announce what month the second season comes out, I'm going to stop reviewing the manga 6 months prior. So say the anime comes out next year, October 2027, I'm going to stop reading the manga come April, because one, this is a monthly. I'm going to catch up very soon. Very soon. Even if I do pace myself to only like once or twice a month review, I'm gonna catch up very soon. That way I'm more surprised of what's to come after if they manage to cover those grounds. And I'll get back to reviewing the manga after the anime is concluded, but that's how I'm gonna do it. When that time does come, I'm going to stop like 6 months prior to the second season officially premiering. And so that'll be like 6 months of no reviews, but we'll have the reaction and review material for, or more so the reactions, and just giving my little snippets here and there between the anime version and the manga version of what they're going to cover. But nonetheless, we are at, or I'm at, because you guys obviously read, chapter 52 of Dark Gathering. So we finished that fight with that scary looking ghost demon and all that stuff, and they talked to the monks and everything. Come to find out that like the ritual didn't really go through to keep the seal closed. And the thing is, this particular entity that they were facing is technically a demon. I think I already said it back in my chapter 51 review, but this is an actual demon. And not only that, it's not any random whatever demon. This is what do you call it, the 42 what do you call it, of Solomon or something of that sort. What they said, the 72 demons of King Solomon. This demon is called Marvis. And I never realized when I was reading between chapters 48 to 51, but when the door opened, particularly in chapter 50 or 49, we saw the door that Marvis was coming through, and it had a symbol. And this is one of the symbols of the 72 demons of King Solomon. Obviously, King Solomon is someone from, Christianity. And if you go by religion and mythology, Christianity is not something that's founded in Japan. Japan is Shintoism, Buddhism, Zenism, that sort of thing. So it's just like, they were very confused by that. How do demons actually exist in the world of Dark Gathering? Now, if we have gods and we have curses and then we have ghosts, spirits, different entities, it's not too far off. So this does explore and expand the world of the supernatural in Dark Gathering. If you literally have a demon now making itself known. So I could see this diverting into another small subplot in the major plot of a lot of things. My hypothesis is this will not be the first time we've seen one of the 72 demons of King Solomon. Marvis was just one of them. I think because of whoever, and this is just one of them. And this to me ties into like Ai's God. Because Ai's God is literally a god. Whatever, I can assume he went through different stuff to achieve his power to get into God status. Not only that, the whole emphasis of gods was already established pretty early on in the series when Yayoi said that like a few years back, prior to what's happening current in the storyline, she took 3 graduates to defeat a god. Right? So if gods exist, why not demons? So this may not be the first nor the last we see a demon in this series, which is going to be far more scarier and far more terrifying than any ghost or curse we've seen so far. Yeah. But it was kind of crazy because I'm like, that does not look like a regular entity or anything of that sort. But prior to that, We have where the beginning of the chapter, Yayoi gave Castle H, I believe the monk, no, it was from Tunnel F, OO Tunnel F, and obviously transitional new names. So Castle H, I'm still gonna call her Castle H Ghost, because I'm not gonna go say that whole name, but her new name is Self-Slitted Maiden of 1,000 Souls, the former ghost of the OOF Tunnel Condemned Sinner of Restrained Rampage. And then transitional ghost is the Reverend Spirit in Transitional Period. Name changes to these 3 graduates. Mine transitional is probably, I personally will say, obviously I do think, and again, correct me, I may have forgotten, but I think Yayoi does have a graduate that's uncontrollable. Like, once it's let out, it's a done deal. I think she does have one graduate, but I think transitional might end up being her strongest graduate out of all her graduates, because he keeps getting stronger. There's like no cooldown time for him. It's like every time he's being shown, it's like this guy is getting it, this ghost is getting an upgrade. So like, I think he may end up being personally her strongest of all graduates, possibly stronger than whatever the strongest graduate she has. Of course, I have not come across that as of yet, if there is, but I believe there is a graduate. Now, mind you, they're preparing after the whole events with Marbus and everything. It is in story May 9th. They went back to their inn and they're making preparations, because within 2 days time, they're going to face off against I's God. And in real world, today is what, May 14th? So all the stuff that they were preparing for, by May 11th, they went to the hospital where I is stationed at, and I's God was, what's his name? His name is Taishi. He was there waiting for them. So it happened on Monday. All of this happened on Monday. I'm now hearing the news 3 days later. And by the time I do the next chapter, it's gonna be like a month or late this month, you know, but we'll that's like an inside joke between us. But regardless, anyway, they go to their inn and they're trying to relax now. So now they have fully prepared. They have all 5 points of Kyoto marked. So Castle H, then we got our son, Meatball Son. Again, I can't forget his name, so aka Meatball Son. Then we have transitional, then we have Tunnel F, and then we have the monk. All 5 of them are stationed at the 5 points that they went through throughout Tokyo during their Kyoto trip. So now they are ready to cast their domain. We about to pull a Shibuya in Kyoto, bro. We're about to pull a Shibuya in Kyoto, but like 5 months early. Right? So they pinpoint and have everything. After they have basically the map laid out and where they're stationed and where they're putting all the graduates, they are completely set. So that means once they activate all of these ghosts to open up and then unleash, they will cast that covering to keep humans and civilians, all of that out, and to keep the god in. Okay. And they basically said they unleash a king-size curse on the god. So she's breaking down of how they're gonna go, how, like, you know, they conquer all the haunted spots, and everything is basically wrapped up. And then the next day, which would be the 10th in the story, they're gonna do their footwork of basically putting up the stamps that's needed to ward off civilians from coming into that massive area. So again, that's why I said like the domain or the black curtain that they place in Shibuya, because it's probably bigger, obviously more feet or kilometers covered because of how large and how basically devastating the damage could be once they face off against Ai's god could potentially happen. So they had to cover like a big area. Once that happened, she took out basically like a cotton, something wrapped up in like woven cotton yarn, black yarn that she always usually carry. And when she unwraps it, inside contained a ring, and there's like a heart ensemble on it. And both Eiko and Keitsudo are looking at it, it's like, where'd that ring come from? And they realize it was the ring that one of the monks was originally wearing. And they said that like Yayoi, because she fainted, or technically she died during that whole fight with what's his name again, Marbus and everything, he was wearing that ring. That ring contained Marbus in there. So obviously the story of Marbus in its true form kind of looks like half lion, half man, obviously looking deformed and everything. And with Eiko looking up who Marbus is, the mythology of him, it shows that like demonology, Marbus is a demon described in the Ars Goetia. He is depicted as a great lion that under the conjurer's request changes shape into a man. He is described as the great president of hell, governing 36 legions of demons. He answers truly on hidden or secret things, causes, and or diseases, and it breaks off from there. So that's Marbus. Anybody that knows more of demonology, you can obviously educate all of us in the comment section below. I would love that. And so they were trying to figure out like, okay, again, this has nothing to do with Japan. Demons, do they really exist here? They have their whole different religion studies and all that stuff in Japan versus Christianity. So it's just like, for them, it was kind of confusing. But they all decided, you know what? We have a long day ahead of us the next day. Let's go rest and go to sleep. And then everybody's sleeping. Now we have where the same cloth that was covering Marbus' ring unfolded. And it activated, and it took... It's not even that Yayoi was in a dream. It literally took her soul and pivoted her all the way back to the day, like 300 BCE to 300 BE. And at the time, those people were called, at least what Yayoi understands of her history, Japanese history, Yayoi people. So these people were in huts and such sort. When her soul was traveled to the past, the first thing she does before she wakes up and sees this island is kill. So when she wakes up and her spirit is floating above the island and she's seeing all this stuff, she goes into this cave, and in there she sees original happenings. So there's a pit with a bunch of people, men, women, and children all tied up. And then you have these several individuals who are kind of stationed like how they have these stars stationed with a symbol underneath their feet. And they are obviously doing a summoning. So they're sacrificing all of these people to summon something, aka they're summoning a demon. So what they did was, once they summoned, they said, oh, come forth, demon Marbus. The souls of all those people that was in the pit started to come out, and then it formed like this line with wings, and then you saw the goat, like it's blackened, but like the goat face. I told you already that was weird, and it scared me. And you know, they tend to use goats, unfortunately, to represent the devil and all that. I feel sorry for goats, I really do. And then it formed Marbus that we saw a couple of chapters ago. And they were saying that like they were asking Marbus, was 100 people's sacrifice insufficient? This is where now Yayoi is realizing this is from the ring is giving her a glimpse of Shishimura's past. And from her understanding, it's saying that like there was not enough sacrifices that were used. So depending on how much sacrifices are used can either power or depower Marbus. And this ritual that happened somehow depowered. I mean, it was still powerful. Marbus was still powerful, but not at what you would say is just like, okay, worthy of the title of one of the 72 demons of hell. If you catch my drift. These people summoned Marbus because they wanted the people of the island to die. Most likely for religious purposes. They wanted to wipe out the people. I don't know if they were natives or not, but they wanted to take over the land. And so they were, in order to do that, they made a blood contract. The whole point of Yayoi being thrown into the past in this dreamlike state is that it was trying to control her to form a blood contract, because Shishimura formed one with Marbus, hence why Marbus was able to come out initially, even though very weak. So all the people who was taking over, the monks, as well as the birds, the pigeons, and everything taking life, that was the sacrifices added to strengthen Marbus. So in that sense, once Yayoi realizes that, it starts to, the image in front of her starts to break, like glass is starting to break, and then it shows her the symbol that was above the door that opened the door for Marbus to come through. And then liquid drops out, and then the ring pops up in front of Yayoi. Now she's being forced to go closer to the ring, pick it up, and then put it on. In her hand, it symbolizes the blood contract because there's a heart. And I'm assuming this is Marbus' way of forming the contract. So again, a blood contract, once you do that, Marbus will do your bidding. But of course, there are going to be consequences at the end of it, because you can't trust the demon. So Yayoi crushes the heart, and now it's forcing her, now like a window opens, and it's showing Shishimura laying in bed in a hospital unconscious. And now it's trying to force her to say, go ahead, go do it, go kill him, and form this contract with me. Take the life of a real living person. And while her hand is stretching to him, she has no control. This is where the priest steps in and stops her, so she doesn't complete it. And then, obviously a whole new problem arises. And then obviously some people are probably wondering, how did the priest manage to cross over? Mind you, the priest is not actually alive. He is still stuck on Earth. His soul is bounded to Earth for whatever reason. And so he manages to stop Yayoi. And he tells her, don't use this ring on the living. Instead, use it for the ghosts. Instead, it's basically, this ring is to silence those who don't listen. But he's saying, what you gonna call it? He in one way he's like, what you're doing in Kyoto is pretty cool, for your age and for how young you are, and you're able to mass gather all these strong allies to fight, obviously I's God, and also weaken it. But at the same time, what she has, the strength that she has so far, it's not enough. It's not enough. And it makes you wonder when you hear that from him. It's just like, okay, she along with Eiko and Keitaro had to go through some of the most darkest and treacherous parts of Kyoto to gather and destroy these other entities so they don't barge into the fight and to use their power. And obviously she has 6 graduates, as well as one that's in a transitional period that's about to be a fully realized graduate. And you mean to tell me, and then she probably has other arsenals of other ghosts and all that stuff that can be used in the fight, and you mean to tell me that's still not enough? And the way he's explaining it is just like, okay, it's like energy and power doesn't disappear. Even if you think you destroyed it, it just transfers, and then it's not balanced in a way. Like he was trying to give her pointers and all that stuff for the upcoming fight. In other words, like, if you can try to balance, and I think this goes through the whole, like, the 5 points, that, like, if one side is weakened, it's going to transfer to the other side. Every side, all 5 points that is going to trap the god, needs to be balanced out. Once you are able to balance that power and no side is unbalanced, that's the only way you can defeat that particular god. And I guess with this ring, it's going to add into that, but she's going to have to know how to split this power evenly in a way, in order to, I guess, boost her stats in this fight, because it's going to be very hard. They did say that, like, Ice God is much more stronger than the one that Yayoi faced off a good while back, that is now requiring 6, graduates. And that the fact that she along with the others has to plan so thoroughly in order to defeat him means, like, he's in a whole nother class itself. But obviously the bad guy at the end of the day, the final villain, is Spectre of Death. So, like, if it's already going to take close to 6 graduates, what is it going to take to defeat at the end of the series Spectre of Death? Because Spectre of Death is also growing. And Spectre of Death did learn its lesson from Ice God. So it's just like, oh, what's going to happen once we get closer to that point? But eventually we'll figure it out. Priest said he's going to help her, and he also wants her to defeat Ice God. And he wasn't able to do it, so he had to pass it on to his descendants, most likely his pupils, but eventually it's just like there was not enough, and that legacy kind of died out. So he's been like a guardian spirit, trying to gather allies, gather as much strength as he possibly can to defeat him. Now, he has been mysterious since we were first introduced to them, since they've been in Kyoto. There are moments where he feels suspicious. Like, is he truly trying to help, Yayoi and the others? Or does he have a hidden agenda and he's using everybody? I don't know. I'll eventually get to that. I hope he's technically on their side and he's just like a vengeful spirit, in the sense of, like, he lost someone close to him because of Ice God, or Taisei. I should stop saying Taisei. And, like, he's been upset for so long and he felt powerless, so he's been trying. He hasn't yet moved on until this mission has, I feel like it's either he lost a sibling or he lost a lover to Taisei, and he has been trying his best for years, even in the afterlife, to defeat him to no avail. Hence why he tried to leave it to descendants and pupils. Again, none of them could stop him. But other than that, he's like, okay, now it's morning, you gotta wake up, I believe in you, you got this. So once Yayoi wakes up, she looks at her phone, she sees she gets a message. She got it from what's his name? Tama, I believe. The same guy that was trying to decipher that book, the Judgments of Deviations, the same book that they got during fighting that granny ghost, I believe. Prior to that, they got the book. He was able to decipher what's happening in that book. Obviously broken watches and trying to prevent from him dying, because that book was not really meant to be read by anybody unless the book chose you to. So obviously he did take some damage, but he's not dead. But then it pans to this picture, and this is the biggest what the heck moment of this chapter for me personally. It pans to this picture behind him from the couch on top of the desk, showing him and showing Ai with her hair originally black. And unless I could be completely wrong, that's not Ai, that's someone else, right? well, no, it says I. So he's trying to save her, and but if I remember correctly, right, I's brother died. So I'm wondering who is Tama to I? And because remember, he's been very in on this little mission with Yayoi, Eiko, and Keitaro ever since they arrived in Kyoto. And it makes me wonder, what is his is he like one of the family members? Is he the brother that supposedly died but he survived, and he's been trying to find ways to save I without getting caught? I don't know, because it showed like a portrait of I'm guessing her mom, little brother, and I don't know if it's him or somebody else. I'm not too sure. I don't know if he's the dad, or he's like another brother of hers or uncle who cares about her and knows the curse that happens in her family. So it's just like, I'll eventually find out, because that blew my mind. I would say that was the most, aside from Marbus and finding out he is an actual, 72 demons, King Solomon, all that stuff. But this was the biggest shocker for me in this chapter, that he has relations to I. And all this time he was trying to save her until Yayoi and crew came through. So there is that. So they have now where Yayoi is explaining again. They wake up and it's explaining the plot of where each graduate station, how they're looking strength wise, who's combat ready from who's not combat ready. And then she's like, okay, I have, Castle H, Meatball, Transitional, Monk, and Tunnel F, all stationed at the 5 points to create that barrier. Now, the ones that I'm going to take with me to fight directly with Taisei is, I said it from the anime, I'll say it from now, Sugimoto. She took mind you, I'm also reacting and reviewing to Golden Kamuy. I'm also reviewing doing that series. So if you guys want to, I already have episode 1 up, so you guys can go check that out. I'm going to probably post episode 2 again soon. So yeah, I'm going to try to do it weekly, probably twice a week, once a week. It depends on my schedule. Throughout the week, if possible, but definitely I'm catching up. But I would like to call him Sugimoto, and she's taking Otagiri to battle directly with the god. Remember, if I remember with Sugimoto, he as well as Otagiri have basically, think in the terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! You put your card down and then they completely take over that area, and they can suck the power. So Otagiri can suck the power to rejuvenate herself. I think Sugimoto can also do the same thing, and he grows more powerful, and then he's more of the offensive than Otagiri is. So having these two that can overwhelm Taisei by taking his strength directly and buffing themselves up, it's essential to do the battle. So I think it was smart of her to say, you know what, I'm gonna take these two that can drain your power and bring it to myself. Of course, they have their conditions in order to offset that ability, but those two are going to be her I look at it more like this. Otagiri is going to be her defense, while Sugimoto is her offense. He'll play defense, but he's obviously her offense, and those two are going to be together. And then while she's fighting the god with those two, Keitaro and Eiko, while Eiko's driving, they are going to be like resealing and collecting the graduates. So once they keep opening up for the graduates to cast the seal and everything, they also have to close them. So with Eiko driving, it will make it a whole lot faster. But obviously the ghosts that they fought at those different locations when they arrived in Kyoto are not up for combat because they're probably too weak. Actually no, they are weak and they're recuperating, so we can't use the grandma, we can't use that very first from tunnel A, and then we can't use T tunnel's ghost either, so they're pretty much out of commission. None of them has really recovered. But with the grandma ghost, Yayoi is saying that even if we can't use the grandma, we could possibly use her dolls. And remember, with her dolls, it can trap the soul in the dolls, and then she consumes them and all that stuff. So she probably might be able to do that. She might bring some of grandma's dolls to the fight. So with that being said, we now have another problem. Taisei, and from what we saw before, he's able to summon multiple eyeballs, which is basically Shikigami. He has, like, in those eyeballs, there are like 12 Shikigami. What they're capable of, we don't know. Well, I don't know. So eventually I will find out what those Shikigami are capable of. He's already strong, but now he has several other strong, and we did see them when he crashed that train that I was on. We saw them when he was facing off against Spectra of Death. So we'll see. Well, again, I will see what his 12 Shikigami are capable of, on top of obviously what he can do. So all that being said, breaking down the plan, if it push comes to shove, once they go to the hospital, they're gonna go to the hospital, meet up with him. Mind you, they're gonna pull up on him first. They're pulling up on him first. They're gonna go at nighttime, go to the hospital, look like they're gonna go visit. No, they're pulling up on the ghost in the hospital. Attack him first, and if it gets too bad, they're going to dip and leave while making him chase them, and at the same time using the ghost to, like, if anything, they use Castle H to, like, place a curse on him, so anytime he tries to attack, it flicks right back to him. That's so on and so forth. And they're gonna keep doing that till he reaches the point where they actually need him, which is smack dab in the middle, and that's when they can go and start really fighting him and then hammering down all of their abilities and all that stuff. And the main place that they're gonna try to drag him to is the Kyoto Imperial Palace. That's where the main fight is going to happen. So they first go to the hospital, attack him there, then try to drag him to, and of course there are going to be obstacles, which Yayoi was fully prepared for. She knows it's not going to be smooth sailing. She knows he's going to throw obstacles, and there possibly may be other obstacles in the way. So she is preparing for all of that. Mind you, again, she is 9 years old, and she sounds like a seasoned veteran tactician, strategist. That's terrifying for a 9-year-old. So with everything being said and everything, she asks us, hey, y'all prepared for this? Y'all ready? Both Eiko and Keitaro are like, yep, we are ready. So they now start going to travel on the evening of the May 10th. They go to the Imperial Palace in Kyoto, and they're sticking all of the symbols all over the place. So on boards, trees, and everything. Again, this is to keep humans out from going there, because this is where the major fight is going to happen. Once they drag him from the hospital to go there, that's it. That's a wrap. They don't want no casualties, because this can also be reminiscent to when they face off against Grandma. Unfortunately, there was people that were caught up in the incident, so they're trying to prevent it happening again, but on a much more larger scale. There they find Tama, and he gives her back the book, so they exchange information. So he gives her the envelope with the book after it's fully deciphered and everything, and she gives him information. No, she gives him the book. She gives him one of the books, and then he gives her information that deciphers the book. Obviously, again, some stuff was taken from him, trying to decipher the book, so on and so forth. But he's leaving. But he trusts in them, and he's telling them, you know what, give hell. So when she opens up the envelope, she realized there's some information. I don't know what that information is. I'll find out within the next chapter or two what Tama was able to decipher and give to help in their battle. So now it is the day. Finally, we have reached the day, the battle that we all been anticipating for since he made his appearance. So they all drive to the hospital. And mind you, it also show a portrait of like the body snatcher. So they're also quickly approaching Kyoto. Again, that can be part of the obstacles. I don't know. Ice God is waiting for them. He's smiling. Taisei is smiling. And I'm like, oh, he wants to smoke so bad. He wants to smoke. It's May 11th now. 8 p.m. They go there saying, oh, you're going to visit yeah, we're going there. Keitaro is feeling the presence of him. So he knows it's holy, but he's like, yo, there's something much more deeper and darker. And then it ends with basically them opening the door. Ai is up. More likely she's being controlled. And Taisei is just like, you've come. And Yayoi looking him straight in the eye and is like, ends it there. Y'all don't understand. I love Yayoi so much because what 9-year-old do you see that has the galls to say, I'm gonna go to a god and kill him? Mind you, the anime did a disservice. I guess it's because like she's a kid, but I will never forget where in the anime they had her do this when in all technicality she stuck up the middle finger to the gun and said, yeah, I'm gonna take you out. We're gonna take you out. We ain't no punks. We're gonna take you out because what you doing to my friend? What you doing to my kohai? It's not gonna fly. So now it's finally like they have everything that they need. Probably there's going to be more. Obviously, they remember Yayoi has Marbus ring, as well as the information from the book that was finally deciphered. So I'm going to see, and if you're new to the series, so obviously you are also included, we'll see just what goes down. This is going to be the first major fight of the plot, because there's three plots going on. There's this, then there's going to be the body snatchers, and obviously we ended off with the plot that started the entire series, retrieving her mother's soul and letting it finally rest in peace. So yeah, this might, and again, I would like to ask manga readers, those who are up to date, is this still ongoing, this fight? I just want to know that. I don't want to know nothing else in between. I don't want to know no details. Is it a yes or a no? Just drop in the comments below. If you are new to the series, like myself, and you haven't read too much further than where I'm at right now, what are your predictions of what's going to happen in this first massive fight? Like, we had all these goals lead up to this point. What do you think is going to happen for one of the first major plots of the series? Like, how is this fight going to go down? Do you think massive casualties is going to happen? Do you think they're going to be able to, obviously they're going to defeat Ice God, but do you think they're going to capture him like a Pokemon? What are your thoughts? Manga readers, those who already read chapter 52, and you go back to reread it, how do you feel about this chapter? What were your expectations at the time, and how do you feel about it now that you reread it again? Links are in the description box, so you guys go check it out. And I am Kimmy-chan, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! With